Bolt fam, what is good? What is good in the neighborhood today? Appreciate all of you guys for joining me here on the Chargers Syndicate live stream preview of Week 6 between the LA Chargers and the Denver Broncos. We are fresh from our bye week here, and we are ready to play. We're ready to roll. Goomba, Bolt up, man. Salute to you. Appreciate everybody for joining here onto the live stream. If you haven't done so already, please, guys, I encourage all of you to like, subscribe, hit the bell button, keep you up to date on future and past live streams, videos, and so much more on everything you need to know about the LA Chargers. We're already at 529 subs, on the road to 1K subs. We're trying to get there, guys. We're definitely trying to meet our goal. So let's do it together. All right? Let every Charger fan know where to find us. Charger Syndicate, YouTube, X, Instagram, and also on TikTok. Follow us. Keep us up to date. Keeping you guys up to date on everything that's going on with your LA Chargers. All right, guys. I am officially glad we are back from bye week because, man, it had been a long one. But there had been a lot to talk about. Now, I will have at least a couple of videos to post out before Sunday's game against the Denver Broncos. And yep, we're here in Denver, right where I live at. And of course, since I moved here, I've had to deal with donkey country left and right. I've had to deal with every single Bronco fan everywhere. Okay? Even when I was on the AFC West round table Tuesday night. Okay? My good man, Ben, I mean, we chopped it up. We got ready for Week 6. But everything is about to go down on Sunday. And best believe, because the Broncos have been cooking. Broncos offense with Bo Nix and with that defense with Pat Surtain, they're ready to play. And this is back-to-back weeks at home against an AFC West opponent. Those haters, unfortunately, couldn't even get the job done. They couldn't. They had to change quarterbacks. Devontae Adams is clearly not happy. And so we got to do a job of what the Raiders should have done. And we'll show them exactly how it's done. Because this is a battle between two of the top best defenses, Chargers and Broncos. And we know last year was a horrid ending. We got swept by Denver last year. You really think that we want to be prepared for that this up-and-coming year? I don't think so. Okay? We got our statement against the Raiders. We will get ours back the second time facing against Kansas City. But this is not a game for us to lose, whether at home or on the road. Because we've also got a statement to make too against our division rival. And right now, the Chargers are 1-1 in the division. This is a perfect opportunity to go 2-1 in this division. Perfect opportunity. And improve our record to 3-2. This team's already 3-2, and they've only got 5 weeks already on their belt. Going into Week 6, they're about close to halfway through that stretch before they got their bye week in Week 14. So we're fresh off ours. And we got a lot to break down and talk about, but I'm excited for this matchup. Okay, I'm just very glad that we at least went into the bye week knowing that most of our guys who were injured, they're coming back. Derwin James coming back from suspension. This is the perfect opportunity to watch Jim Harbaugh compete after the bye. And especially a lot of the smart coaches, the veteran coaches who come off a bye, usually play great. We all know how Andy Reid is off a bye for the Chiefs. Very smart, knows how to win. Kyle Shanahan off a bye. Niners, they know exactly how to do a business. So this is our opportunity and this is our time. This is our time for us to get payback from what last year, and if you remember, because the first time meeting against the Denver Broncos, that was when Justin Herbert got hurt. And he was out for the entirety of the season. and everything was going bad. I mean, it was a colossal collapse. So this is not going to happen this time around. Herbert, by the way, is 100% healthy. We'll talk more into that. But the Denver Broncos being 3-2, the Chargers being 2-2, and there's a lot I've broken down just before the bye, but I'll break it to y'all once again with how the performance that the team has been in 4 weeks. So just to give everybody a refresher, because right now the pass game's not good. Pass game is ranked 20. Like the offense is not as stellar as we thought it would be. Offense right now for the Chargers is ranked 29th. And the Denver Broncos are literally a rank above us at 28. Okay, pass game looked abysmal. Justin Herbert hasn't thrown for over 200 passing yards yet at all in 4 straight weeks. And this week we're going to be without Gus Edwards. So J.K. Dobbins is going to be healthy. But this time, we'll finally get a chance to see the rookie from Troy, Kamani Vidal. We will finally get a chance to see the 6th round pick. So I'm excited about it. But the 4 weeks have been huge. There's been a lot to talk about with this team. So I do, however, want to bring this up before we end up previewing the matchup all together. But I wanted to go through at least the stat lines here because this is going to be very important for us. So, recapping and looking at exactly the Chargers' stats all throughout 4 weeks. The Chargers' total points has been 17. They haven't been a team to score 25 plus points, which really concerns me as far as the offense moving forward. Sutton, my face. What's good, man? Appreciate you jumping on by. Fellow Bronco fan wants to tune in. He wants to try to see what's going on with the opposing team. I see you. But I appreciate you coming on. So yeah, 17 points per game is one of those things that really does concern me more than anything. But the good side, the positive side is that the defense is giving up only 12.5. Our defense has been playing tremendous in 4 weeks. I mean, we've gone through a pendulum swing because the fact that the defense had been atrocious for the last 3-4 years and the offense had been great. And now we've gone through a pendulum swing where the defense is great and the offense can't seem to be moving forward. Like they cannot move the needle. They can't. So this is where things needed to change. 7 total touchdowns on offense. 7? We couldn't even score any more. That's why the 17 points concerns me. And you already know how I feel about Greg Roman right now. Because Greg Roman is definitely on the seat. Because we cannot afford to be rigid, to be stubborn, to not throw the ball. Okay, and Justin is clearly capable of doing that. We've seen Herbert doing multiple times. Okay, this is a quarterback that's used to throwing for over 300 passing yards. He should not even be trending downward. Now, it was funny because there was a post that was made on social media that apparently that there were things that we needed to face up on. And one of those, the very first one that I slid and looked at, is said, facing the fact that Justin Herbert is not a top 10 quarterback. Are you kidding me? You're going to face up to the fact that right now, in 4 weeks that this team has started, Herbert is not a top 10 quarterback. Okay, statistics, he may not be looking and playing like one. But that doesn't mean that he's not a top 10 quarterback in this league. Stop it. I know everybody is all like, I've been all on this train where everyone's like, Herbert is so overrated. Herbert can't get anything done. Herbert can't seem to win the big games. He's always choking. Is that his fault that the organization can't help him? Is that his fault that the offensive line, for as injured as it was, couldn't necessarily block for him no matter how hard they tried? Is it his fault? And in the last 3-4 years, the defense had been giving up yardages, points, etc. Is that his fault? Everybody always seems to be pointing the finger at Herbert every time, whether it's analysts, whether it's outside opposing fans, or it's a lot of people like that are so-called sports junkies, whatever it may be. I mean, I get tired of hearing it. Justin is a top 10 quarterback. You could see by how consistent that he throws. You could see by how consistent that he stays poised in the pocket and releases the ball. And you're probably making that judgment because the fact that he doesn't have Keenan Allen, he doesn't have Mike Williams. There's more to it on the story than that. Now, third down efficiency has not been as great. It's been 36%. So that's where the third down percentage, I would like to see it go to at least 40, 45. I would like for it to, at the very least, come away with that. Because opposing offenses have been successful for 39%, almost 40. So I would like for the offense to really convert those third down efficiencies. That's something I would like to see for the next 13 games on this stretch. Because if we don't do that, it's really, really hard to keep us alive in games, especially on offense. When we want to keep our offense on the field and less the amount of time of our defense out there, because our defense is doing a job. The offense has been a letdown in the last 4 weeks. So it's time to get serious and it's time to get going. Third down efficiency needs to be better. The fourth down efficiency, we've only had one try, one attempt. So I can't make the judgment call on that. Brian, bolt up, man. Appreciate you coming on by. The thing is that when you look at the passing game, look at this number. 136 passing yards per game. And Justin's got, and this is what's funny. Justin only has 5 passing touchdowns and 1 pick. 1. And you say he's not a top 10 quarterback. He's not making any bonehead mistakes, even though he's come up close. That one interception was the only bonehead mistake, but he's not out there playing reckless. He understands with what the assignment is. The only hard part is that he's limited because this is how Greg Roman works. And I'm sure Jim Harbaugh, a former quarterback, also gets instilled with the physical run game. Because you notice the difference here. They've been running the ball 115 times, and they've been attempting passes 93. So they're running more often than they are of passing. I do think, from what I've seen so far with Rashawn Slater, because I have looked, he's questionable right now. He was limited in practice. I'm hoping we do get Slater back. But we know that the pectoral strain, it is difficult, but I'm hoping we do get him back because at least we will get Joe Alt back. I know that for a fact. As far as Joey Bosa goes, he was limited and he's questionable too. But he did not practice the previous 2 days. At least Slater, he was limited. He was practicing off to the side. And so he was getting at least as much needed reps. And he was also practicing with the team a little bit later on. So he's making that slow cook back comeback. So I believe we may have him back. I believe Rashawn Slater, Kim coming back will help with our tackles because we need that back. Um, but yeah, this is the rushing attempts. And so we're only averaging 4.4 yards per attempt. We were at one point where we were really cooking up on the run game. But these were moments that when we got marginalized in the last two games between Pittsburgh and Kansas City, we could not continuously go with the run because it wasn't working. You're talking about Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, and multiple others on that defensive front line, even Herbig before he got hurt, was shutting us down. The other part, you got Kansas City with Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, and multiple others that were shutting the run game down. What the hell are we doing? Like, run game was perfect against the Raiders and against the Panthers. Doesn't mean that it's going to work against Pittsburgh and Kansas City. And do you really think with the way that the defense is played now for the Denver Broncos, you think that's going to work? We just can't. We cannot be one-sided. We're way too good and we're way too smart for that. We have to be better at it, and this is why that we have to open up the pass game. Now, penalties, of course, need to clean up. We've had 26 penalties for 185 yards. All right. That needs to clean up. And that was a lot of false starts, illegal formations, not getting set up on the line, holding calls. A lot of that needs to clean up these next 13 weeks. But I do believe that this Chargers team can compete. I do believe that. Okay, because it's going to take tooth and nail to either get into that second or that third and last wild card spot. That's what it's going to take. So I do believe, though, that this team can turn things around. By the way, their turnover ratio is 5. And the defense has been 3 for 3 with fumbles. They had 3 fumbles that they recovered and 3 that they lost. But the offense has barely turned the ball over. They've barely turned the ball over, which has been the most important. But, like I said, I just think right now with just where it stands, and DJ Chark, they haven't decided to open up that window for him to come back and healthy. So I just am like, right now when we look at our receiving core, Quentin Johnston, we know, had stepped up. Ladd McConkey, by the way, has had the best percentage amongst all rookie receivers this year. All of them. That's including Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas and Rome Odunze. He has had the best grade amongst all those guys. And he's finally starting to get involved. We're finally getting Ladd McConkey more of the ball. The only one that we haven't been able to see so much has been Brendan Rice and Simi Fehoko. And Josh Palmer, we know he was a slow kind of comeback into the roster. So we know Josh Palmer now with a week off, hopefully he'll be healthy. I know. Well, that's the thing, is that it's not only just playing Kansas City, but it's that those defensive front lines between there and between the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're really good. They're really good. That's why I'm like, why are we continuing to go with the run play every single time and we're not opening up the pass game the way that Justin Herbert is meant to be used? Like, I never understood that out of Greg Roman, and that's why he's on that hot seat. But as of right now, with what I've seen from the offensive line, I didn't really understand the game plan against Kansas City and against, I never understood that. Because my whole thought was, I thought they would have put Trey Pipkins at the right tackle, which they did. And my whole thought was because they put Jamari Salyer to the left tackle, when I thought he would be more used on the interior. I didn't understand why they ended up bringing Sam Mustipher when we had Jordan McFadden and we had Brendan James there. Or Foster Sorrell. We just go with Sam Mustipher, a guy that we haven't really even seen a whole lot really play and connect with this offensive line. I didn't understand that. Interior O-line does need to hold up better, Goomba. It does. Because you can already tell right now, Bradley Bozeman has the worst overall grade in PFF amongst centers. He is the worst. But I don't condemn Bradley Bozeman for that. I just don't think that he's exactly that answer. And this is what's funny. I was talking with a lot of people about this. I felt like that if we did not draft Vlad McConkey in the second round, my thought is that could we possibly get a center for the future? I thought we would have ended up getting Jackson Powers Johnson. Knowing how much Jim Harbaugh loves offensive line, I would have thought we would have gotten our center for the future. Because if you think about it, I mean, Kansas City was able to get their center for the future in Creed Humphrey. So that's where I was like, that's important. But that wasn't the choice because they felt like it wasn't the time yet. Now, the positives that we are at least seeing is that we're going to get important guys back. We're getting Junior Colson back. We're getting Joe Alt back and Rashawn Slater. And we're going to start getting some guys involved. That means Tarheeb Still and Cam Hart. Both our corners are finally going to start getting some action. So I'm excited to see those guys. But I do want to, and we get Derwin James back, which is also going to be another really good relief. Thank God, because that had been one that had been driving me nuts. So here's the injury report for everybody to look at. So as of right now, Joe Alt with that MCL sprain, he was limited and was a full participant Thursday, Friday. So he's back and he's ready to go. Joey Bosa with the hip injury did not practice Wednesday and Thursday, but was limited today. And he's listed as questionable. Junior Colson, who had the hamstring, we finally get our facilitator at linebacker back. He was limited Wednesday and full go Thursday, Friday, and he's good. And then Cameron Dicker, he had an illness on Wednesday, did not practice, and was full. He's fine. Gus Edwards, though, he's out. Didn't practice. Ankle's been bothering him, so he's out. So we will not have Gus back. Hopefully we might have him back next week. But that now opens the door to officially see Kaimani Vidal. That officially, finally, we get a chance to see Kaimani Vidal really work with this offense. Christian Fulton, he's questionable, but he was a full participant in practice with that knee injury. But Christian Fulton, though, I got to tell you, he was already one of the best top grading corners in the last 4 weeks on PFF. With his passes defended, interceptions, and just his physical caliber. Like, he was an absolute steal for us in free agency for 1 year out of Tennessee. He's already making changes, and I made that point. Christian Fulton needed a change of scenery. I mean, it worked perfectly. Diane Henley with the shoulder, limited, full participant. He's back. Justin Herbert, which is the best thing with at least a week off, was limited the first 2 days, was a full go today. He will be starting. Ankles feeling fine. Doesn't have the wrap, doesn't have the boot. He ain't got none of that. He's good. Hayden Hurst with the Achilles, limited, full participant in 2 days. He's good. Derwin James, of course, full participant. He's back after the suspension, which was ridiculous by the NFL. Dean Leonard, however, hamstring, didn't practice. He was limited. He's questionable. Hopefully we can have Dean Leonard back. Khalil Mack, rest, limited, full practices. He's ready to go. Nick Neiman, however, with the hamstring injury, because he's going to be designated for return. He was full participant. He's questionable. Hopefully they can activate him and we'll get another linebacker back. Denzel Perryman, last 2 days, full participant. He's ready to go. Now, Asante Samuel, he's out. And so is Jasir Taylor. So we lost both our corners. However, we will finally get a chance to see Tarheeb Still and Cam Hart finally play corners. I would love to see how both these rookies play. Because Cam Hart, he's shown a lot of really good pass deflections, really good one-on-one man coverages, and he's also willing to play one-on-one when it comes to contested plays. He's been very good at that. And then at the same time, Tarheeb Still is another one. I mean, you saw in preseason, both these guys came away with picks. Both these guys came away with pass defenses. So this would be good. How is Vidal going to do with the pass pro? With pass pro? Hope he's going to pick it up quick. I think he may, because especially when it comes to a lot of the check down plays that they seem to play, I could see where he is utilized in the best way. Because, like I said, I've seen Kaimani Vidal be the potential replacement for Austin Eckler, because especially when it comes to a pass catching guy, but he's also a very, very good runner. Watched his tape at Troy. The guy has ridiculous cuts. The guy's got really good feet work. On the Broncos side, here's what's interesting about this. So Zach Allen, he was a full participant. He will be playing. Audric Istime, he was a full participant. They may end up getting him designated for return. John Franklin Myers was full. He's good to go. Damari Mathis, full participant. He'll be uplifted as well. But the only ones that are out is Josh Reynolds, Alex Plazewski, and Luke Wattenberg. A tackle and center are out, which means this is the opportunity for our pass rush to really feast on Bo Nix. You got to slow this kid down, because as of right now, he's already looking like an experienced pro. He may not have the stats to back it up, but if you watched in the last few weeks with Bo Nix, Sean Payton has really been cooking this up. And Bo Nix has been making quality throws. He's been moving the offense forward. And he's making exactly the decisions that Sean knows he can make, and how Sean would want him to perceive it. So there's your injury report, guys. But I do believe that this is the time where our pass rush really needs to get involved. Our pass rush really needs to stop this offense, because the fact that this offense starting to hum and starting to cook right now is one of the reasons we have to play shutdown. They've got a good defense as well, which is why we can't end up taking them lightly. We got to tread those waters cautiously, because that's one of those things that we have to be prepared for. Thule time, exactly. It's about that time that if Joey Bosa doesn't play next Sunday, then that means Khalil, Thule, and Bud Dupree all need to start feasting on this guy. And listen, I like Bo Nix. I do. You know, he was one of my under the radar guys when it came to the draft. One of the under the radar guys. So this is important for our defense. It's important for our pass rush for the most, because you don't want this offense to start moving, to start making the pass plays. You don't want these guys to start moving in and charging in up under the end zone very easily. And neither do you want Bo Nix to have a comfortable pocket. We don't want that either. So this is the perfect opportunity for them to be the disruptors. perfect opportunity. Now, we're going to bring up this tail of the tape here. And then I will get to all of my thoughts, at least throughout the week. I know it was kind of like it was just, I've been away for at least the last couple of days, especially with the bye week. Wasn't much of activity and such. So I'm back. I'm ready to go to work, and I'm ready for us to go to work as well, because this is an opportunity for us to trump over Denver and remind them, hey, we're coming. Okay? We're not staying away for long. Both teams are 1-1 in the division, 2-2, 3-2. Chargers are favored by 3 in this game. And in the last few games, the history, Broncos are 73-55-1 against us. Last time meeting, we lost 16-9 in Denver. The last time. We got to show the Raiders exactly how we do business, because they couldn't do it. They couldn't get it done. They lost 34-18. So, and think about it, that Broncos offense is not that great. If you really look at it, here's what both the offenses are. So, starting with the Chargers offense, we're 29th overall, which I am absolutely sick to my stomach that we are. Okay, I love the fact that our run game is very efficient, but 29th, that's unacceptable. And the fact that we can't end up getting our pass game opened up is the one that pisses me off the most. And that's where I had a lot of selective words for Greg Roman, because we cannot afford to be like this. We cannot afford to be conservative, especially against a team that we know they've played a very good shutdown defense in the air. And that's with Patrick Surtain. I mean, he's been looking like the number one best corner right now in this league. And that's one of the things that we have to outsmart that defense. But that's not good enough for us to be 29th. 9th in rushing, 31st in passing, and 28th in scoring. That's horrendous. I hope that we've learned a lot through the bye week. And here's what's funny. The Broncos are an overall rank above us at 28. 21st in rushing. They're not that good running the football either. They're not that good. We're better than them. And then passing, they're better than us. 28th over 31st, and they're 22nd in scoring. So this is the time where we really have to light the fire. I mean, bolts got to be sparking, because it's time for us to really get this offense unlocked. It really is. Now, I know without Gus Edwards, it sucks a bit because we don't have our power runner, but this is an opportunity to where we could utilize specialty when it comes to J.K. Dobbins being our every down back, but then we also use Kaimani Vidal as another one that could be a pure runner and could also be a pass catcher. So that's one of the things that the Chargers, I'm hoping on offense that they end up doing this right if they really want to make it work. You get JK to do the everyday duties, and you get Kaimani to end up being the other situational down back or be the pass catcher in the screens, because we got to get him involved. I've been excited to want to watch this kid and see exactly what he does, because I love with what I saw from the draft profile and everything I saw up on film. So hopefully we can get him involved. Now, Chargers defense is 5th overall, and the Broncos are 3rd. We're 6th against the run. They're 10th. We're 10th against the pass, but they're 5th against it. And we're the number 1 scoring defense. And they're tied for 2nd with one other team. And here's what's funny. Our turnover differential, we are +5 and the Broncos are +1. So this is a battle to the end. Both defenses have been cooking. And this is the opportunity for the Chargers to really think about what happened all in 4 weeks, what was great, and what went wrong. And at the same time, I hope we got clarity on our offense. Because I've said it before and I'll say it again. If we continue to look rigid like we did in the last 2 games against Pittsburgh and Kansas City, we are not going to end up meeting the expectations. We're not going to. Which it solely falls on Greg Roman. Whether he wants to make that happen or not. That's the part I'm paying attention at. Because Greg Roman, like, we know how much of a run guy he is. And he cannot deal with passing. I wanted to bring something up here because it was I thought this was kind of interesting. So there's the 2011 and there's the 2012 San Francisco 49ers, and I have every single stat to basically prove to you, because Greg Roman was the offensive coordinator, okay, under Jim Harbaugh, and this was the thing. This was a time when Greg Roman, and they also had Vic Fangio as the defensive coordinator there. So the thing that I will show you is basically statistics all throughout the regular season. So in the games, and this is what I'll show you guys statistically. So the team statistics that year, they set a franchise and NFL record for the fewest turnovers in a season with 10. Fewest rushing touchdowns allowed since 1978, 3. Most consecutive games not allowing a rushing touchdown since 1970, that was 15. They had the highest turnover differential in franchise history at +28. They were also not allowing 100-yard rushers in 36 consecutive games dating back to 2009. And they've also set the record for the most field goals made and attempted in a single season for David Akers, 44 out of 52. But the one thing I wanted to show you guys was I wanted to show you guys a lot of the game summaries. And the reason for this is because all these games. Okay, perfect. Because I want you guys to basically look at from past history so you guys have an idea what this looks like. So look at the passing yards. And this is with Alex Smith as the quarterback. Okay? And Alex Smith that year, he was completing 61% of his throws, 17 touchdowns, 5 picks, with a 13-3 record in 16 games. All right? And he was barely turning the ball over. Barely. Interception percentage was 1.1. Barely turning the ball over. And this was how it was. If you look at all these passing yards right here, you notice something, that these have not cracked over 300 passing yards. They haven't. Niner fans know that. Because in the first week against Seattle, 124 passing yards. Cowboys, 132. The closest they ever got was 278, and that was against the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay, that's the closest. So a lot of these games have been 300 passing yards or less. That's why that I've said they do not like turning the ball over. They want to keep it all on their side. Now I'll send you over to 2012. Because I'll show you guys exactly how this was also at a time when Colin Kaepernick came in. And Alex Smith didn't even do too terribly. He was completing 70% of his throws, 13 touchdowns, 5 picks. And then Cap had 62% completion, 10 touchdowns, and 3 picks. This was when the momentum was changing. And this was the year they went to the Super Bowl. Notice again, the only 300 passing yard game was back in October 7th of 2012 against the Buffalo Bills. They threw for 310 yards. But you notice how they barely turn over the ball. So they're winning a lot of these games physically. This was a team that went 11-4 and won the NFC West and went all the way to the Super Bowl. So, and even when it came to the playoffs, they were finally opening up the pass game. Now, the games against Green Bay and the game against the Atlanta Falcons, man, that was entertaining. Those were entertaining. So I want you guys to kind of get an idea exactly with who we're dealing with when it comes to Greg Roman. And you could tell we don't pass the ball over 300 passing yards. And that's the part that really frustrates me, because Justin Herbert is capable of throwing for over 300 passing yards without even making mistakes. Okay, we've seen him do that. I mean, you've seen how many times that Shane Steichen, he was able to do that in his rookie year and made them the 7th best offense. And now we're the 29th ranked offense. Think about that. Times were different back then. Times were very different. Okay, I understand the need for physical football, but I also understand the need to move the chains and getting the ball in the air, because you need to move the chains. You need to put points up on the board, because the fact that we are literally terrible at scoring on offense right now, when we have 17 points per game on offense, is unacceptable. So I do want to bring out a bunch of points. And before I end up breaking up a little bit more of this game. So in 4 weeks, the Chargers have managed to go 2-2, and we've suffered some big time key injuries. But take a week off, we get these guys back. Greg Roman has obviously been on my sites, and I hope he's been on all of yours. I'm sure he has. Because this is a guy that got conservative at the worst time in the last 2 weeks. We cannot be like that for the 13 games down the stretch. You need to open the pass game up. It's what Herbert is trying to tell you. I mean, that time when he threw his helmet on the bench, he was pissed, because he was not meant to be used as a quarterback that doesn't throw for over 300 yards. He is not that kind of quarterback. You have to unleash him. And The other thing I broke down, sorry about that. The other thing I broke down was thank God we have depth because we did not have that under Tom Telesco. I'm glad that we have depth on this roster because that was very important. If we did not have that, especially up on key positions, we're screwed. And then our season would have been over. But the fact that we have depth in a bunch of important spots, and not to mention this, but the fact that we elevated Sam Mustipher instead of using Jordan McFadden and a couple others was one that was really questionable to me against Kansas City. Felt a lot like they just threw the offensive line depth chart in and not even thoroughly look at it. So that's the part in it that I hope we figured out and cleaned the mistake. Because we should not even be doing that again. Lad McConkey, he's finally getting fed the ball. I've been very happy of the fact that he's getting involved. And he has arguably the best wide receiving grade amongst rookie wide receivers. All of them. As the best one. He's going to get his moment. He's going to get his opportunity. You know what's funny is that, like, I started to look at this offense. And the funny thing, and somebody pointed it out on one of the videos, that Harbaugh loves big guy receivers. And the one in particular that he compares to Quinn Johnston we're talking about was Vernon Davis. If you remember how Vernon Davis, how vicious and ferocious he was as a tight end, and as somebody that was big sized, fought for every single possession, and had very good yards after the catch ability, Vernon Davis was dope. Guy was a tremendous player. And they've compared Quinn Johnston to that because big body size, great yards after the catch ability, and he's somebody with a chip on his shoulder because of a horrid rookie season. That's what he's trying to make up. I know a lot of people have been questioning about the wide receiving core. I know. And there's been all kinds of talks because we know trade deadline is going to be coming up here in the next couple weeks. And there's a lot to think about. And the Chargers, I'm going to look at the salary cap that we have right now because I do feel like there's going to be some moves somewhere in there. So as of right now, because we're going to look at the cap table. As of right now, the Chargers have $8.5 million left to spend. They have $8.5 million. So as of this, the total cap allocations, we have $255 million, which that's fourth. Cap space, we're 22nd with $8.5 million left. Reserves lists, 6.6, 29th, and our dead cap is 6 with $55 million. So we're $55 million in dead cap. Okay, and the guys right now that we are spending hefty on, the top 5 guys, is Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, Justin Herbert, Derwin James, and Trey Pipkins. Those are the heftiest that we're spending. And Joey Bosa, his cap hit is $26 million. And I've told a lot of people this because when it came to Joey Bosa, he's been getting injured a lot. And he's 29 years old. And it's starting to get me to the point where he is becoming so expensive and unavailable that I don't know if that's honestly a contract that we would take on. I really don't. Because if anything else, we could use that money to keep up with our offensive line, We could use that money to then go and get another edge rusher in the draft next year because the fact of we have Khalil Mack for another year. Okay, and then that would be done. We could also go and get another receiver if we really wanted to. And so there's a lot on this table. But it's good to think about because it gives us an idea who this team has, how exactly we could utilize all this and make it work. So, because you got to remember, it's going to be to the point where Justin Herbert, he's going to end up getting that big time money that he signed. So we have to be prepared for that. Now, as far as trade deadline goes, because we know that we're looking at our receiving core, it's not as strong as we all have anticipated, but at least we're seeing the step-ups of Quinn Johnston and Ladd McConkey, and hopefully we could see others that could come up around. But right now, the names that are being buzzed as far as wide receiver goes, we're hearing right now George Pickens could possibly be up in the move in Pittsburgh because of attitude problems. But I wouldn't really want to take on somebody who's got attitude problems. If you really ask me, I wouldn't do that. We know Devontae Adams' name has been thrown up out there, but the only thing is that the Raiders are not going to want to trade with somebody within the division. He's probably going to end up getting shipped off elsewhere. But if that were to happen, they're looking for a second rounder and multiple picks. Is that worth the future? Is the question. I love Devontae Adams. I would love for him to be a Charger. But we have to think about the long term. Amari Cooper, I know the guy leads the league in drops. But at least Amari Cooper, and you know what's funny about that? He almost reminds me, because when the 49ers didn't really have a whole lot of big-time receivers on that roster either under Jim Harbaugh. They didn't have a whole lot of them. I mean, they had Anquan Bolden, and they had Randy Moss, and they had Vernon Davis. There wasn't a whole lot of, there wasn't any, big-name or big-time receivers. So even when Amari Cooper comes up in here, I could see him being that kind of Anquan Bolden veteran, a guy that could come in, change a scenery, comes in and plays our style of football and at least gives Justin Herbert another weapon. But there's multiple outlooks for this. Now, as far as the run game, because we know Travis Etienne, his name's been thrown up out there multiple times, but there has been outlooks as far as draft predictions. So before I get that far ahead, I do believe that in some of our instances, what we need help on, we need help with our interior O-line. I'd say we probably would get one piece with our receiving core, the right one that really can help this group. I would also tend to think, even if my other thing is you probably go and get an interior D lineman. You get another one because they do want to keep the run stuff. That's initially with what the Chargers defense and Jesse Minter, what he's been able to do. He wants to stop the run so much that they become marginalized, where we're forcing them to have to pass. And then we have our corners. So there's a lot of options there. Now, the quick note is there were a lot of drafting predictions, and the two names that I've seen come up, and the third I saw that was another prediction, which was really interesting, and I would love for your guys' thought on this. So the very first one is the Chargers draft Colston Loveland. I have a feeling that could be a possibility. And the only reason of it, Michigan kid. Jim loves his Michigan kids. And we do not have a dynamic tight end. Hayden Hurst was coming in here to be our pass catching tight end. He's barely been that. It's been mostly Will Dissly, who's doing both the blocking and the receiving parts of things. So we're not that dynamic at tight end, as you can no doubt tell. But Colston Loveland could definitely fit with this kind of roster. Jim knows him. Jim's familiar with him and loves exactly his athleticism. Number 2, Ashton Jeanty, the running back from Boise State. Why would we go into that? That's considering the fact that because we have Gus Edwards right now for 2 years on the contract, and we have J.K. Dobbins for this year. Okay, that's considering if J.K. Dobbins doesn't return. And Ashton Jeanty, I mean, the guy is a badass. The guy's got great cuts. I've been watching him so far with my other favorite team, Boise State. And the guy's just a beast. I haven't seen something like that since almost nearly since LaDainian Tomlinson. He's big. He's fast. He's got great awareness up front. So, and we know how much we love the run game. But if that was push come to shove, because I do feel like with Kamani Vidal, he'll be a pass-catching running back, a replacement that we went and drafted by the time we let go of Austin Eckler. I think GT would be great. And then finally, an interesting one, Isaiah Bond from Texas. The thing that questions me about Isaiah Bond is, even though I love his speed, and even though that I love some of his stuff, my question marks is his separation, his adapt to speed in the NFL, because I know that they've produced very good receivers back in Texas already from last season with Jordan Whittington, Adonai Mitchell, and Xavier Worthy. And Isaiah Bond was also somebody in the middle of that who was also very good too. But I question a bit about his separation, because in the meantime, Ladd McConkey, the more he gets the targets, the more he's fed the ball, Ladd will be fine. Ladd will develop. And he's good for this roster. So I just thought it was really interesting how in the draft analysis, how they pointed out Isaiah Bond for the Chargers. I just was like, I don't hate it. I have a bit of outlooks on Isaiah Bond. I do think he's a very good player, but I just am not sure if that translates well into the type of offense that we're putting together is the one thing I'm holding. So that was the 3 I looked at that I thought was interesting, but the most was definitely Colston Loveland and Ashton Jeanty. So those were those 2 that were the main. And the one that kind of threw me off was Isaiah Bond. Anyway, it's time to go back to work. It's time to get our act cleaned up. And it's time for us to go on a 13-game run. Because this team, at this point right now, I know can play better than what I've seen in the last 2 games. First 2 were great with the fact that we were able to run the ball efficiently. It was great. This week against the Denver Broncos, we should be expecting that defense to play as hard as they do. Because without their attacking tackler, Alex Singleton, out for the season, they still have been playing great. And Patrick Surtain is shutting everybody down at the wide receiver position. This is a good this is a great matchup for us for a few reasons because we don't have a star receiver. You don't know exactly who really to block, who really to defend. That's going to be an opportunity for the Chargers to really come away with this. And you're talking about two AFC West teams with the top 5 best defenses. And that's what's going to be interesting too. Because our defense has been playing their part. They're giving up 12.5 points per opponent. But our offense needs to step up. Greg Roman, you had better open the pass game up. Because if we don't pass and we don't move the football down the chains, we are screwed for the entirety of the season. Herbert's clearly not playing his best. But that's not always on him. Okay? We know he made one bonehead mistake on the interception. That's it. He has 5 touchdowns and 1 pick. So he's capable of making the throws. Use him this way. He's not there basically being a dink and dunk quarterback. This is not Alex Smith. This is not Colin Kaepernick. This is not even Lamar Jackson, even though Lamar Jackson very much is a competitor. Okay? I can agree with that. But you need to unleash Justin Herbert for these next 13 weeks. The next 13 weeks, I better see Herbert throwing for more than 250 passing yards. I better see that. If Charger fans, if we don't, something has got to change. And you know what? I pointed this out. Because to be honest with you, when it comes to offensive coordinator, I don't know how you guys feel about this. Let me know. But I'm almost at the train of like, let's give Shane Day a try at offensive coordinator. The one guy who's been that close with Justin Herbert, who's helped develop him, who's helped clean up some of his mechanics, whatever he needed, and somebody who understands the offense. Let's give him a try. Why not? We already know we've got physical runners. We already know that we can run the football efficiently when we have those opportunities, and we play that way. But our pass game needs to be on the same page. If it's not, then our offense will continue to be marginalized, and we're going to continuously let our defense down, and we will not win the games that we know that we should. Because again, that game against Pittsburgh, and we know that we threw Justin Herbert out there on injury, but that Pittsburgh offense was a BB gun offense. It was terrible. It's the worst right now in the league. So I didn't understand it. And I could go on for days about shoulda, woulda, coulda, but I'm not going to do that. All I'm working on is looking forward week after week, which starts right here, right now. We're back from bye week. I hope that we got our shit together. I hope that we are getting a lot of our key core players back for 13 weeks because we need to be that team not to mess with. We have to be that reckoning force. We will see Kansas City again. Okay? But we've got our division rival now in Denver. And I'm here. I'm here for it. All right? Appreciate all of you guys for being here up on the live stream. My thought for this game, it's going to be tough. It's going to be physical. Chargers are favored by 3. I like the points. I could see it go that way. My thought in the game and my final score, I'm going to take the Chargers shutting down Bo Nix and that offense that had been cooking for the last couple of weeks, and they're missing some offensive linemen. But I see our defense playing shut down. I see our defense really getting our edge rushers involved. I see that all working out. So my final score for this game, Chargers win this one 24-17. I just see it be this way. And the only reason of it is because both offenses are almost nearly identical if you think about it. But the other thing that's big about this game, this will be yet again that Justin Herbert and Bo Nix are facing off against each other. And last time they did, Bo Nix was in Auburn and Justin Herbert was in Oregon. And Bo beat Justin at that game against Oregon. Auburn won that game. Herbert would like to get some payback and would love to show up because this is Battle of the Duckies Part 2. Okay? Justin already beat a former Duck, Marcus Mariota. Almost scared the crap out of me last time. But this one against Bo Nix, this is going to be fun. These two Duckies going at it. I was on the round table Tuesday, and I have my Dan Fouts jersey on. Why? Because that's another Oregon Duck. Dan Fouts is the man. And you know this is Ducky week. So I've got the Chargers winning 24-17. 3-point favorite. I like it. I see our defense really pulling through, but the offense needs to get their head out of their asses, stop being conservative and just running the ball 100% of the time, and start opening up the pass game up and use Justin Herbert the way he was meant to be used. Because that way, we will be competitive against all of our opponents come down the 13-week stretch. Appreciate all of you guys. Time to take the donkeys to the glue factory. Go Bolts. Absolutely, go Bolts. Appreciate all of you guys for joining me here on the Chargers live stream from Charger Syndicate. Week 6 preview breakdown. Chargers at Broncos. I really would love to be at Mile High Sunday. I would really love to be there. But I may not be. But you know what? That's not going to stop me from going and wreaking havoc in donkey country, because you got to get all those donkeys in a row, because they're going to be scared for the amount of lightning strikes that we're about to see Sunday when the Chargers take the field at Mile High against the Denver Broncos and Bo Nix. Appreciate all of you guys. Take care of each other. If you haven't done so already, please, guys, we are here to set our goals all together. All you got to do, wash them feet, okay? Wash them up. Hit the likes. Share it out to every Charger fan far and wide, because we need them to know we exist, we are here, and we ain't hiding, okay? Remember when Russell Wilson would basically say, Bronco country, let's ride, and all over it was like, let's hide? Let's make sure those donkeys stay hiding, because there's a storm coming, all right? Like, subscribe. We're 529 subscribers right now. We want to get this channel monetized. We got to meet up our watch time. We got to meet up our goals, guys, because we want this channel to be monetized. We want to be there with the big dogs, especially when I'm out there putting in all the hard work and all the effort to both Syndicate Sports and to Roundtable Sports as well. We want to make this channel the best Charger channel on YouTube. That's our goal. We want to be up there with the big boys. And I have spoken with a lot of them. Great guys. I want to be up there with them. All right? Let's meet our goals together, guys, because you guys is what makes this channel successful. Appreciate all of you guys. Let's do it. Let's come away with this win in Donkey Country. Bolt up or shut up. Let's make it happen. All right? I'm fresh from the bye week. Time to go to work for the next 13 weeks. See you guys later.